Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Deontay Wilder has scored another own goal, debunking his own flimsy excuse that the costume that he wore for his ring walk for the Tyson Fury fight weakened his legs. So he put a lot of stock in that after the fight as being a reason that he lost, that the 40 to 45 pound costume was too heavy and weakened his legs. Obviously, there's been a lot of criticism of him for using that type of excuse because it does sound embarrassing. And what's happened now is people have gone looking for Deontay Wilder's previous statements because they've gone, hang on, hasn't this guy talked about wearing vests before? And you may have seen on social media a clip that was from Joe Rogan. He talked about wearing a vest, and I'll come to that shortly. But first, I want to talk about a clip I found, which was from November 2018. He was visiting firefighters ahead of his fight with Tyson Fury, and remember there was the LA fires and such. He gave them a wad of tickets, but at that event he remarked how heavy the firefighting gear was. So then he was asked a question, do you think you could actually wear that in a fight? But I'll play the audio now because it is very revealing, and clearly another own goal from Deontay Wilder. Embarrassingly so, he has debunked himself. Here is the clip.
Man, this is like, this is crazy right here. It's like if I had to fight, I'll be able to manage. I'll be able to, I wear a 45 pound vest when I train. So it feels something similar to this when I have to move and be agile and mobile and hostile. And I think they have to be the same way as well too. You know, I kind of have similarities to those guys because they work out as well too. They have to stay in shape.
And the other clip from Joe Rogan says a similar thing, wearing a vest 40 to 45 pounds. So this really is another embarrassing situation for Deontay Wilder because he has debunked himself. It's not someone else. He has made these public statements about what he can do, how he trains. And are we to believe, because he said he wore the costume for 10 to 15 minutes for his ring walk, are we to believe that his training sessions are going to be any less in terms of the length of time? Because if he's bragging about what he does in his training, wearing a 40 to 45 pound vest, you have to assume that that training is actually for a period of time much longer than his ring walk time, which was a few minutes, but he was wearing it prior to that, you know, in the dressing room, coming out, etc. So even though it sounded flimsy and embarrassing when he said it, it sounds so much worse now because his own statements have proved that he often trains with that amount of weight in his training camps. So surely he cannot really be serious that it weakened his legs. That didn't sound credible to start with, and it sounds less so now that he talks about training with weights that heavy as his costume, unless his training sessions are for less than 10 or 15 minutes. And that would be hard to believe as well. But this whole thing has been embarrassing from the outset with all these excuses. And now he's debunked himself. The situation actually is getting out of hand. Through his own actions and the need to explain away the loss, and that it wasn't Tyson Fury, it was him, it was the referee, it was the costume, it was all manner of things. He is actually making himself look more and more ridiculous. The excuses have stopped for now, and thankfully so for his case, because it is a massive PR disaster. And any credit that he could have taken from the fight, you know, he did show heart and he hung in there for several rounds, ultimately stopped in the 7th, his corner threw in the towel. People are starting to forget these things because of the ridiculous list of excuses, including the worst of them, this lame costume excuse. One, he tried the costume on the night before, and so he had a preview, but he still went through with it. He didn't think it was going to be that heavy. But then he goes on to blame it for his loss, but then his own statements debunk his own excuse. It really is madness. At what point is Deontay Wilder going to own this loss? Not try to explain away other things that really don't seem to have had an influence or at least change the outcome of the fight. The towel coming in, Kenny Bayless, the referee, has already said that he was about to stop the fight, getting close to doing it. Anthony Durrell yelling from the sidelines apparently for the towel to come in. That in itself sounds ridiculous, like someone from the crowd could influence the corner so much to end the fight. And this costume one is the worst one. Deontay Wilder needs to get real. He needs to get real. I'll say it again because this has become ridiculous. He's exposed himself on his own excuse. How bad is that? It was always going to happen that people were going to go looking. And when I saw that clip, the Joe Rogan one, I thought, I do remember something about him saying about the firefighting, something about him training and weight and, the axe, the heavy jacket, etc. And it didn't take me more than a couple of minutes to actually find it. The other thing set me off to go find it, but I thought, yeah, there will be other statements out there as well. Deontay Wilder is a very boastful man. He's talked about his intense training before. So the fact that he's tried to rely on his ring walk as an excuse, it just never sounded good. It never sounded credible. It really is a joke. And hopefully he can bring himself to admit that too and have an honest conversation with himself, because he's scored another own goal here, and hopefully he stops doing that, because it's becoming a laughingstock, or is a laughingstock now. And imagine what Tyson Fury is going to do in the build-up to the third fight that Deontay Wilder says he is going to take. Could you imagine if Tyson Fury walks into the ring with a similar costume to Deontay Wilder? That would be the ultimate trolling move by Fury, but I could totally see him doing that. I could see him doing something similar at the press conference. Tyson Fury is going to have a field day with all of this. I don't think Deontay Wilder realizes how much ammunition he's actually given his opponent for the third fight. And sure, Deontay Wilder will always have a puncher's chance, but the mental side of boxing is so huge. And Wilder himself admitted that it got to him ahead of the first fight. The pressure, he got anxious, went away from the game plan. And whatever's happened in the second fight in terms of his mental state of mind or whatever, but we are seeing some sort of dribble coming out from him after the fight. What is Tyson Fury going to do ahead of the third one? It really is going to be a sight to see. Tyson Fury is going to absolutely decimate him with trolling tactics. I can't wait to see what it is, but Deontay Wilder's just fed him all this material to work with. And I don't think he even realizes that he's done it in trying to explain away this loss. But what do you make of this? Deontay Wilder debunks his own excuse. Oh, what do you make of it all? Drop a comment. Loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.